Louis Riddick of the Mothership, the ESPN NFL college football analyst, former NFL safety. I got an idea for the NFC AFC title game. Now, this is strictly for your football audience, that every other year you'll have NFC title game Sunday, AFC title game Saturday. The following year, then you change it up, AFC Sunday, NFC, because this is about us. I don't know about you on your Saturday, Louis, but I had nothing going on, and I was jonesing for something.
Yeah, man. It's a lot to consume in one day. It'd be nice. It would be nice to kind of break it up a little bit and to kind of have it be standalone. I'm sure look, I mean, the NFL is always interested in driving network viewership, right? And try and get the numbers as big as possible. I don't know if the numbers have come out for the Kansas City Chiefs game, but I had heard that they were going to be like monstrous. And with the way that game went down to the wire, there's no question that it probably was. But yeah, I'd be okay with that, Dan. I'd be okay with that. Stretch it out as long as possible. I'm already sick about the fact that the season's almost over.
I know. Well,
I'm just going, what are we going to do? We do that every
I know. You'd probably be okay with having the ball down 3.5 minutes to go, 3 timeouts, if you're a Buffalo Bill fan with Josh Allen. Right? That's not asking much of an MVP candidate. So where did they go wrong?
Oh, well, I'll tell you what. If Dalton Kincaid makes that catch, the catch at the end of the game where Josh makes an absolutely fantastic play as far as the blitz that Spags bring from the boundary with Trent McDuffie, and Josh sees it and lost that ball up there, and Dalton's not able to bring that ball in. We could be having a totally different conversation here today.
Yeah.
It's amazing that he was able to get that ball off. It's amazing that it was right in the hands of Kincaid. It's almost like you feel bad for Kincaid the same way you feel bad for Mark Andrews a week ago. Because we may be talking about a totally different conversation. Rewind it back to the beginning of the fourth quarter with the spot of the ball on the fourth down play with Josh, where just from watching it on TV at first, I'm sitting there thinking, oh, man, they've got it. They've got it, and they're about to seize the control of this football game. They're already up 1. They're in plus territory. Maybe the game's going to change. Maybe that's it. Maybe they solidify the game there, but I think what it shows you is like there's a bunch of different inflection points in that football game that if you're the opposing team and you're in Arrowhead Stadium and you're going up against Patrick Mahomes, if you don't seize them, if you don't definitively seize them, then the combination of Patrick and Andy's play calling, which was nothing short of just teach tape worthy down the stretch, they're gonna make you pay. And that's why this team is now playing for its 3rd straight title, which is just amazing.
There's a moment when I see Josh Allen on that 4th down play. Now, you play defensive back.
Yeah.
Felt like that defensive back was looking in the backfield. And I thought, is he coming? Like, I don't know enough about that position, but I don't know if you normally look in the backfield when you're out there kind of on an island,
right.
Man-man coverage. It felt like he was looking, and that made me think, oh, my gosh, is he coming? And, you got to disguise it that you're just doing everything. This is the way I always do it. And it just, like, it dawned on me for a second, like, do you normally look at the quarterback if you're just playing man coverage?
Yeah, you know what? Sometimes you do. Sometimes you're trying to get, you're looking at your guy. You're taking a peek at the quarterback. You're taking a peek, at the line of scrimmage. You're trying to get. You're just kind of like taking it all in. Sometimes you kind of you fall into like a little bit of a, you want to get the rhythm of the quarterback center exchange so you know when the ball's about to be snapped, and then ultimately, your eyes go back to your coverage responsibility. And sometimes quarterbacks can, you're right. Quarterbacks can kind of pick up on the fact that, hey, you're spending too much time looking at me. I think something is up here. So it's a kind of a cat and mouse game. It really is. And look, Trent's one of the very best in the league. I mean, McDuffie is just one of the very best in the league. And even with all that being said, first of all, I don't know how Josh saw Dalton in the first place. Despite the fact, I guess he's 6'5", and he's a freak of nature himself, and he's able to off his back foot launch that thing the way
I
he
think he
did.
threw it to a spot.
He did.
You know,
What was amazing is that the Chiefs just dropped him. They dropped Dalton in coverage. They had a total coverage bust in the back end, and they had done that a couple different times during the game. They let I'll tell you what, Buffalo, in many ways, as much as I love the Chiefs and respect everything that they have accomplished, in many ways, Buffalo is going to watch that tape and they're going to go, oh my goodness.
yeah.
We had so many opportunities that we just didn't capitalize on.
I was rooting for the referees yesterday. I wasn't rooting for Buffalo or Kansas City. I wanted it to be a controversy-free game.
Me too.
Then you had the spot. You have the Xavier Worthy play.
Mm-hmm.
It just feeds into that narrative of Kansas City gets the call.
Yep, it does. And you hate that. You hate it because you're right, everything on my Twitter feed where I'm sitting there looking at it and just typing some stuff during the game, everything is about, yeah, but the refs. Yeah, but the refs. Yeah, and you know what? And that was like the same thing was happening, like, honestly, in the first game, in the Philly and Washington game. It's always about why Washington ultimately lost that game. And like that has become like an easy go-to thing now for people. And I understand that there are some things that, look, it's no different than any other sport where sometimes superstars get preferential treatment. Superstars get calls that you just don't necessarily see other teams or other players getting calls. But it shouldn't be the dominating, like, just narrative surrounding a football team like Kansas City when they have earned it on the field. They've earned the Super Bowls that they've won. They earned the right. They lost one game this year. When everyone in our business, every single one, every single week from about the halfway point on, was trying to find ways to say why this football team would not get back to New Orleans.
Yeah.
They found a way every single week. And now, quite honestly, they're playing at their up. They're peaking at the right time, and that's very dangerous for Philadelphia.
Yeah, but if you go back to the Super Bowl against Philadelphia, that was a controversial call late in the game that went the Chiefs' way on the pass interference. So
true.
But
you know what? Who was that against? Again, was that against
Bradbury?
Yeah, James Bradbury. But he said himself that he did. He grabbed him. It is what I mean. In that I don't know, Dan. I don't know how controversial that call was.
Okay.
That to me was a clear. If that was any other team other than Kansas City, it's like, yeah, that's pass interference. That's defensive holding. I mean, you can't do it. But because it's Kansas City and because there have been plays that do spark a lot of debate about whether or not referees are giving them some calls that they don't necessarily deserve, it's going to get amplified. But yeah, I see your point.
When did it start to go wrong for the Commanders?
Oh boy. Well, there's a number of different things. The explosive play component, right out of the gate, the first play kind of was a precursor of what you saw was going to happen in this football game as far as their inability to contain the run game, to contain the explosive play component. And then if you take it back to the first drive for Washington, where they have, what was that, like an 18-play drive? They eat up like 8 or 9 minutes, and you still only get 3.
Yeah.
That you knew every drive had to end up in 6. It had to. And when they weren't able to do that, I mean, that's forecasting way, way, way ahead of time and really trying to say that you know something that really you don't. You don't know if that's going to be the case all game long, but it just seems so difficult. I talked about this earlier in the day on SportsCenter about that. Like, Fangio, the defensive coordinator, was going to make it hard for Jayden. He was going to make them have to drive 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 plays. He was going to play a lot more too high and go, do you have the patience to drive this ball and be perfect for 8, 9, 10, 12, 15 plays to score against our defense? I'm going to bet that you don't. I'm not going to make the same mistake I made when we came to Washington. We played a lot of single high, and you burned us on the outside one-on-one with big plays. Not letting you do it. And he didn't let him do it. He simply didn't let him do it. And then that offensive line in the running game for Philly, it's just That's going to be the thing if you're Kansas City now moving forward. Kansas City better have an answer for the big boy football that Philly's going to try and play. And they better hope and they better make sure that Jalen doesn't get hot. Like it looked like he's starting to come on a little bit. It was nice to see him hit A.J. Brown. It was nice to see Devontae make some plays because if they get that part going too, man, it's going to be just like it was the last time these two met down in Arizona.
I liken Saquon Barkley to Barry Sanders from the standpoint of 1 yard, -2, 4 yards, 66.
Yep.
That's what Barry used to do. Now, different types of runners, but the end result is similar.
Yeah. And you know what's cool about that is if you just kind of broaden that out from a bigger picture, looking at it from a bigger picture, that's why I wasn't concerned or really haven't been concerned about Philadelphia's inability to create explosives in the passing game, which many people thought was going to be something that would hold them back from being able to win a title or even get to the Super Bowl. I'm saying, well, look, Saquon is producing explosive plays at a historic rate. Like no running back has ever been able to do this besides who you're talking about, guys like Barry Sanders. And Barry just didn't have the team around him that obviously Saquon does. But that point right there is what the single greatest reason why this team is still as dangerous as it is, on top of the fact that they have maybe the best collection of 1 through 53, arguably in the NFL. But this guy can take a game and absolutely flip it on its head in a way that most coaches and most front office people think has to come in the passing game because no one's ever done it like that. No team has ever reached the Super Bowl doing it like that. And this guy does it on the regular. You come to expect it now, which is just freakish. And he's a one-of-a-kind talent. Look, when Dave Gettleman drafted him in New York and got killed for it, he said, this is a gold jacket player. And obviously he wasn't able to build up the infrastructure around him to help him like Philly has, but he was right. He was dead right on the evaluation.
Yeah, when he goes in as a Philadelphia Eagle, then he'll be.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Dave and John Marin, all of them are going to be sitting there going, oh my God. And Joe Shane may too in the end.
Okay, but does this change the philosophy going into this draft that now all of a sudden our running backs back in vogue that, like Ashton Genty, is he a top 10 pick now because we're looking at the kind of comeback of the running back?
It's going to be very subjective. There's always going to be people. There's going to be a guy on our desk come draft night by the name of Mel Kiper who still won't believe that you have to draft a running back in the top 10 or in the first round unless he is a Barry Sanders-esque type of talent, a Bijan Robinson-esque type of talent. But I think what it is showing you, what Saquon is making people think about is this. If you have someone, well, you know what? Let's just compare him to Ashton Genty in particular, because I had the privilege of being able to call that game down in the Fiesta Bowl. He has the same characteristics, meaning body blow, 4 yards, 1 yard, 4 yards, 5 yards, 70. I'm out the gate. And it'll be interesting to see what Ashton runs. He looks like he plays like a guy who has 4.3 speed at 220 pounds and is basically nothing but one giant muscle. So, yeah, I think that conversation within scouting departments and in draft rooms is going to be, hey, look, if there's a guy who we think in a league that puts a premium on explosive plays, can make explosive plays for us out of the backfield, hell yeah, we're going to draft him. It's exactly what Jahmyr Gibbs does for Detroit and what Brad Holmes got killed for drafting him in the first round. Yeah, I think, Dan, that whole conversation around never draft running backs in the top 15 or in the first round overall, I think that's over with.
He's Lewis.
I know there are GMs right now who believe that this is one of the best running back drafts that have been around, that have come along in a while this year.
Louis Riddick of the Mothership, NFL college football analyst. Coaching hires. If I wanted to hide the fact that I hired a coach, I'd probably announce that on a Friday night, that I had hired my coach, and a busy weekend as well. And the Dallas Cowboys somehow did. The Dallas Cowboys, who love attention, they love spotlight, shiny things. Notice me, and then all of a sudden it's oh, by the way, forgot to tell you, we hired Brian Schottenheimer as the head coach. What what are they doing?
What Jerry does.
Okay, but could this be the right hire? I mean, nobody
Yeah,
else was
but
interviewing Brian Schottenheimer.
it could. It could. And you know what? If you wanted to play devil's advocate, you could say, well, with the fact that there are 7, 8, 9 openings every single year, and a lot of times these teams are hiring the people who the consensus is these are the next hot up and comers. That's not the right way to do it
No,
either.
no.
So, I mean,
Why not hire Dion?
why not?
If you
Well,
love attention, I mean, what's
because
the downside? You're 0 for
because
30.
I think there's like, and I'm not the first person to say this, but I have actually seen this in real life, and I've seen how this works. You know, there's winning, and then there's winning the way you want to win. Like sometimes winning isn't good enough for people. It's well now, but I'm not having fun because I'm not involved. I'm not the guy. I want to do it when I'm the guy, when I get the credit, when I can be the one who's in the, at the head of the pack, and I'm the one who was the voice of the organization. Jerry already showed that he didn't like that back in the 90s when they were steamrolling everybody. And I played against those teams. Those teams were unstoppable. They simply were unstoppable. And he wound up getting rid of the guy. Got rid of a Hall of Fame coach in Jimmy Johnson.
But he's a great businessman. You can't run a business.
Dan, there are so many guys, every single guy, quite honestly, by and large, not every guy, but most of the owners, by and large, in the NFL are great businessmen.
Yeah.
You don't buy football teams because you're not smart as far as how to make money. A whole lot of them, though, are terrible when it comes to understanding what it takes to win in the game of football. Hell, I remember at one time having an owner say to me, quote, "It's football. How hard can it be?" And that's the kind of arrogance that a lot of those guys have when it comes to, look at this game. It's just a bunch of guys who are running around in pads, hitting. Just give me the best players. Give me the coach that everyone says the greatest, and throw the football, score some touchdowns, keep them healthy. If they're not, we'll get someone else, and just keep it going. Sometimes people look at it like that. They don't think it deserves the same, that it has the same kind of nuance or deserves the same kind of attention or requires the same kind of mental horsepower that it requires to run Microsoft or Apple, or be a company that's a Fortune 500 company that makes billions of dollars a year. They don't think it's that intricate. But those are usually the ones who wind up on the outside looking in, looking for coaches every single year, wondering why can't I get there? Why can't I be in the Super Bowl, where now all the eyes are on me? Because they want to do it their way. That's why.
Good to talk to you. Thanks for joining us. See you in New
Always,
Orleans.
man.
Louis Riddick, the mothership, a former safety, and worked with the Eagles and Washington, director of player personnel.